Give you what you need to take news and lab interviews. What's going on, y'all? Give you what you need to take news and lab interviews. Chad Dabney. Chad Dabney. What's going on, y'all? Give you what you need to take news and lab interviews. What's going on, y'all? Chad Dabney.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Jared, and your host of the Lagniappe podcast, giving me the news and interviews. We here on episode 99 with the owner of Total Home Inspections, Chad Dabney. You might remember him from a previous episode where we changed gears, but I'll let him explain that to you. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, man, what's going on? What's up, Jared? Always good to see you. Thanks for having me back.
No problem. Back for the second act. You know what I'm saying? You almost made, like you said earlier, you almost made it. You almost made episode 100, but you almost made it. But 99 ain't that bad.
Nah, I'll take it.
All right, bro. All right, reintroduce yourself to my listeners. Tell them a little bit about yourself and your background.
All right. Well, my name is Chad Dabney. I'm the owner of Total Home Inspections. We've been in business a little bit over 2 years. I've had some good success, but you always encounter the struggles of a single operator, single business, small business. So, just being flexible and innovative and trying to continue to make it happen. Before starting home inspections, I worked exclusively in the oil and gas industry. I did that for about 16 years, varying from going out to the rigs, coming back on land and doing some work on land. But that was the bulk of my career experience. I was also a veteran in the United States Army. I did 2 tours of duty in Iraq. I'm also a psychology major, so I've got a full plate. I've done a little bit of everything.
All right, that's up, man. Once again, thank you for your service. Appreciate that. So let's get to why we're here, my brother. Please let people know what made you shift to the housing inspections and start your own business.
So kind of in between the oil and gas and housing inspecting, I was kind of forced to start my own business. The job that I had in the oil and gas industry, they had layoffs during COVID. Just like a bunch of other people, I kind of had a moment to kind of sit back and re-examine things, and it was best for me to be home. So I started a disinfecting company in 2020. And that did well, but I knew it wasn't going to last, so I was planning on the next thing after the disinfecting company, and I started with home inspections. Circumstance, opportunity, all that played into me starting this home inspection business.
All right, cool. So tell a little about how do you become a home inspector? A lot of people usually don't know anything about home inspections, so it's time for them to buy them. So tell people how do you? Because really, I ain't know nothing about home inspection until I'm about to buy a house. So
right.
So let the people know, how do you become a home inspector?
So like with most things these days, you can enter a course online. There are a number of different courses online you can take. There are some in-person courses if that's what you want to do, but I think most people nowadays take them online. There are different organizations, different companies that offer home inspection training. So you look one up, you see if the curriculum is right for you, and then you enroll and you start studying the coursework. There's usually an online module followed up by an online test. Once you pass the online test, then you move on to prepare for the national exam. And if you're in a state that requires a license to do home inspections, you need to pass that national exam. I think even if you're going hard and you're grinding in on studying, it still takes about 3 to 4 months to get everything down. It's a lot of material, and you need to know it all to pass the test. It's not a regional test, so even if you're in New Orleans, you don't deal with furnaces and boilers, you still need to know that information because it's on the test.
Okay, cool. All right. So how long did it take you to study for the exam? And how much does it cost?
I think the course total was about $400 to $600 for the course. After that, you have to pay an additional $200 for, if you're in Louisiana, you pay $200 for the exam. And then there's some training, additional training that Louisiana requires. So you have to do 10 ride-along trainings with an approved inspector who's an approved trainer. That's usually about $100 a ride-along. And then you pay for platform training, which is basically reinforcing everything you learn in your class. So once you do that, and that's about 11 or 1,200, 1,000, 1,200. So you're looking at all in about 20, 24 to get started. But that's kind of spaced out, and you have a chance to kind of save up and prepare for that as well. So it's not just all at one time. The big thing is getting through the online course and preparing for the national exam.
Okay. Also, there's a state exam and national exam?
Yeah, so in order to get the certificate, to register for the national exam, you have to produce a certificate from the online class or the online course. And you have to take a test as well. Now, the difference between the online course and the national exam is that the online course is kind of open book, right? You have a chance to kind of look at your material a little bit, but the national exam is proctored. You have to go to a room. They take all your stuff. You just sit down with a piece of paper, a scratch sheet, and the test.
Okay.
So,
all right. So let's talk about how was it your ride along with the housing inspector that you had to ride along with? Does the housing inspector that you ride along with, does he give you like a grade, or he puts pass or fail you or something like that? Or you just required to do 10 things?
Yeah, so you just pick, you can do all 10 with the same person, or you can kind of split it up, which is a good idea to kind of break it up. But, you kind of just observing, and then you're asking questions, things that you may have studied that you might not be clear about, just observing how they go about doing the inspection. And you kind of pick something up from each person. Hopefully you pick somebody who's good, who actually wants to train you and not just take your money, because I think there's instances of that happening. But if you find the right people who are really interested in making sure that you become a good home inspector, you can pick up on a lot. It's not a pass or fail thing. They just kind of like, hey, this is what I do. You could do it your way, but these are the things I look for. This is my routine. They may let you go around like behind them, and, like that. But luckily, like I said, all my guys were, and girls, because I did have one woman as a trainer. They were super helpful. They really showed me what they needed to show me. They didn't try to just keep me in the car or tell me to wait in this room till we're done. They let me follow them around everywhere. So I really appreciated that. And so they thought I was good. They offered me a job. So.
All right, that's what's up. Okay, so all right, well, let's talk about that. So once you pass your certification exam, once you pass the ride along, what's the next step in the process? Do you start your own thing, or you just come on under another inspector? How does that work?
Well, the choice is really up to you. So I kind of had my mind made up going in that I was going to start this on my own. And so I got offered a couple positions, but I was like, I think I'm just going to do this on my own. And, they were trying to tell me, like, look, it's hard starting out on your own. So, you may get discouraged, but, the decision is yours. So basically, if you decide to start on your own, once you finish all your training, you get your insurances. That's the next big part, right? So once you finish your training, you get your errors and omission insurance and liability insurance. And then you present all that to the State Board of Louisiana Home Inspectors, and they issue you a license. At that point, you're free to do whatever you want to do. You can go with a bigger company if you want, or you can start your own thing.
Okay. All right. So how much was the price range for someone who just started off being a home inspector?
What you mean, what I charge, or what the cost?
The insurance. I'm sorry, getting insurance. I'm sorry, getting insurance.
Oh, so the rates are a little bit higher, of course, because they think you're more of a risk than a seasoned inspector, but it's not that bad. You got to carry certain limits. I think it's like $1 million or $2 million, just because you're looking at houses that could range close to $1 million, and your errors and omissions need to be close to that as well. Just because nobody's perfect. If you make a mistake, you need to be covered, right? So that's very important. But as you, as you go on and you renew, your premium can go down if you don't have any issues or any claims against you. But of course, just like any kind of insurance, you get claims, price goes up.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Or you're in a riskier area because I'm sure if I was in another state doing this, it'd be a little cheaper than it would be in Louisiana. Just what it is.
Right. Exactly. It is what exactly. All right. So let's talk. All right. So now you certified, you finished the ride alone, you insured. So what's the next step in your process? Like, what is your game plan of trying to get clients and stuff and referrals?
Realtors, real estate agents, all day.
Okay.
So right when I was getting ready to, I was close. I had passed my national exam, but I hadn't done the ride alone training yet. I started reaching out to realtors, say, hey, introduce myself. Hey, look, I'm about to be licensed as a home inspector. I'm right there at the next step, but I just want to kind of introduce myself and then kind of see what you look for in a home inspector, right? Just kind of opening that dialogue, trying to build a relationship, basically just cold calling, cold emailing. And so when I did that, you meet people and, there is a community of home inspectors out there. People have different ideas of how you go about marketing. Some guys don't like reaching out to realtors. They want to go direct to the client, but just starting out, you need to build a relationship with realtors.
Okay. And you mentioned cold calling. You want to explain what cold calling is? Some people might not know what that is.
Yeah. So basically, when you ride around town and you're looking at those for sale signs, the name on that sign, you call them, introduce yourself, you text them, maybe do a little warm up text like, hey, my name is Chad Dabney. I'm a new inspector. I saw your house on so-and-so street. I'd like to call you, introduce myself. Sometimes I would just pick it up and just be like, hey, I'm a home inspector, a new home inspector. Just introducing myself. Sometimes I got return text. Sometimes I got return calls. Sometimes I didn't. But it's a numbers game, right? The more people you introduce yourself to, the more chance you will have that they will refer you. And so you fighting an uphill battle because you're a new guy, right?
All right.
And so when you're dealing with realtors who are established, they may have an inspector that they use already. So you kind of make them feel comfortable with you, build a relationship, and then maybe if their main guy isn't busy or is too busy to get it done, they can call you because you're new. You got all the availability in the world, right? You can do it the next day. So once you find that you start building your foundation and making sure that you do a good job.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about what's a typical day for a home inspector? Like what's the process?
So, usually for me, I get up between 5 and 5:30. Look at what I have for that day. If I don't do it the night before, I usually go online, look at the first house or both the houses that I'll be doing. So I'll just look it up on Google, look at the Zillow or the Redfin listing to kind of get an idea of what I'm in store for. Because you don't want to just show up and be like, oh man, I wasn't ready for this.
right. I get you.
So you kind of get an idea of what you're walking into, especially first thing in the morning. So I get up and the next hour or so is getting the kids ready, getting them out the door. And I'm headed out to the property. I try to get there 30 minutes ahead of time, just to give myself a little time to get more acquainted with the property before the client or the agent shows up. It always looks good that you're there before them. So I try to get there at least 30 minutes before. But that's it. You wake up, kind of map out your day, look at your route, see where you got to go. Do I have to go from Slidell to the West Bank? What type of houses am I going to be inspecting? Do I need to bring the drone out? Do I need to get the bigger ladder? All that stuff, right? So you just want to be prepared for what you got. You don't want to show up and be like, no, I don't have this. So that'd be the first thing. Just kind of map out in your mind how you want to do it. The software these days is pretty flexible. It's new, up to date. So it makes it real easy to kind of do everything from the software. You can get the map to the to the address. You can kind of see the route. You know, it just makes it real easy to get things done.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this, what does an actual home inspector do? Why is it so important to get a home inspection on the home? Because like I said earlier, like I didn't know what the hell a home inspector was. I was like, man, how much they charge you for what? Like, but because once you get a home inspection done, you see how much detail wise good to get a home inspection done.
Yeah. So, you know, you're looking to purchase a home, you need all the information that you can get about that property, right? Because it's probably going to be the biggest expense that you're going to make in your life, right? The average home price is about 350 to whatever. So you're making a considerable commitment there buying this house. Now, you know, to somebody who's not trained, you walk through, everything looks fine. They got new paint, they got countertops, got some flashy lighting in the house. Everything looks good to you. But when the home inspector comes through, we notice all the things that you don't see, right? We get on the roof, we're looking around the house, and all those little things add up. So if you go into an inspection or you go into buying a property and you don't get an inspection, you're kind of throwing money away. I've heard people say, well, I don't want to spend the money on the inspections up front. You're about to be spending more than actually the house with interest rates on yeah. So why not spend the $300 to $400 on an inspection so you'll get the information you need? It's not a pass or fail thing. Some people think it's a pass or fail thing, like, oh, you can't get this house because it's in bad shape. No, you can do what you want. But as long as I give you the information you need, I feel like if I do my job, then you make an informed decision. I try, and that's why I'm so detailed. I don't skip over anything. I try to make sure that everything is in there, even the smallest detail, because those things matter, especially when you get in the house, you move in, it's your dream home, and you go to turn the shower on and the hot water and the cold water's flipped. You know, things like that can kind of just add more stress to moving into a property. So I'm gonna make sure that all that's right, even those little things like that. Of course, the big items, the roof, the foundation, the plumbing, we checking all that, but everything matters.
Okay. Speaking on people who don't want to spend money on home inspection, I highly advise that you do it because one time I was for the buy selling the house, and they put money into it. They had the outside, inside looking good, like it looked like nothing was wrong with it. So we put it on the contract. Oh, so yeah, so I put it on the contract. Home inspector came. Man, if come to find out, they had some old material. I forgot what it was. Some old material that was outlawed and banned all through the house. So
asbestos or lead paint.
Yeah, something like that. It was multiple things. It was lead paint, some type of asbestos, and some type of the Chinese drywall. It was big on Katrina. Yeah, he's drywall all through the house. So the inspector called me and told me, "Look, man, I advise you not to buy it. Don't buy this house." Then the contractor came. He looked at it. I advise you not to buy this house. Then the realtor was like, "I advise you not to buy this house." So
yeah,
an inspection, a $200 inspection for your money.
And that's the thing, like, we really not supposed to tell you that, right? We're not supposed to say, "Hey, don't do this." But the report speaks for itself.
Exactly.
It's not our job to tell you what to do. But the report is well written and done properly. Like, you'll look at it and be like, maybe I shouldn't, because people ask you all the time and be like, "Hey, what do you think I should do?" I'm like, well, anything could be negotiated or repaired, but you have to be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You're a first-time home buyer. You don't know much about houses. Like, this is going to be a lot for you to take on.
Exactly.
Exactly. Be honest with yourself. There'll be another house.
Always. There's always another house. Can you tell people what's in the report? Because a lot of people never had a home inspection. Can you tell me just a little bit? You want to tell them everything's in this? Give me just a brief overview.
So, and I only operate in Louisiana, and we have a standards of practice. So there's certain things that have to be in a report. So we have to talk about the roof. the exterior, which is your wall covering on the outside of the house, the foundation type. You have to look at the electrical panel, the HVAC, and then the interior of the home, you know, faucets, the drains, the lighting, electrical outlets, and those type of things. Those are the big things. Of course, we do more than the standards of practice, because if we didn't, it'd be a pretty short report. So we test appliances. We look at other things around the house. We look for moisture damage on the inside. But, you know, all that's included. Now, depending on who your home inspector is, they may be licensed to do termite inspections, but that's not included in a standard inspection. They also may offer video pipe inspections, but that's not included in the standard inspection. Those are two different inspections, and I tell people all the time, just get all three. Like, the house can be fine, and I saw this actually this week. House is in great shape. It was a renovation. They did a great job on it, but when they came around the video pipe camera, they had cracked pipes under the house. And that'll kill, you know, I hate to say kill the deal, but that's an expensive repair. And so you want to know in advance about that issue. If you don't get that inspection done, you won't know until you're in the house, and then you flush a toilet and everything backs up, and you're like, oh, let me call Earl's Plumbing or Roto-Rooter, and they come out and be like, oh, you got a cracked pipe under your house, and it's going to cost $15,000 to repair it. You could have spent $250, you got the pipe inspection and avoided that. So
exactly, that's why I recommend getting a house inspection. All right, so you've been doing the house inspection for some time. So what are some of your do's and don'ts as a home inspector? Some things a home inspector should do. So someone who wants to get into the field.
Be as unbiased and objective as possible, because you are there to report on the house. And so you can't worry about what you see affecting the deal. It got to be open and transparent. You can't exclude anything, because you don't want the realtor to get mad at you because you might mess the deal up. The house is the house is the house. I'm here to talk for the house. And the buyer hired me. So you always want to make sure that your buyer has all the information that they need, whether it's good or bad. You know, it kind of sucks to tell somebody like, man, the rafters in your attic, termite damage, like they need to be replaced. They were so excited about the house, and you give them that news and it's like, oh, you're like a buzzkill. But when they get over it, they can kind of rationalize everything. They realize that you did them a service. But that's the big thing, being open and clear about what you see. I would say don't try to over-explain, you know, because some guys, I think, and I've heard this from other people, try to be too much of an expert on everything. And you have to understand that the people that you are dealing with, whether they be the agents or the buyers, aren't home experts. They're not contractors. They're not handymen. They know little about a house. So you have to explain this to them in a manner that they can understand it. Explain to them like they're in the 5th grade or a 5-year-old, right? Keep it real simple, but easily understandable. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. And so if you can show pictures and have a good explanation, people will understand what you're talking about. But don't try to over-explain. Don't try to disregard the concerns of the buyer. Even if you know it may not be that serious, you still need to be considerate of their feelings and what they're going through. You know, they're getting ready to buy this house. It's a stressful experience for them, dealing with the title, the loan, mortgage, you know, all that stuff. You know how it is, man. You submitted the same paperwork 3 times. So it's just a stressful process. So you need to be mindful of that when they come to inspection. You know, they've been through all that already. You like the last guy in a step, right? So you need to be mindful that they're stressful, they're excited, they might want to get out of a situation and move into their new home. So you need to be patient with people, but also be honest with them and give them the information they need. And that's something you just have to learn, you know, like I say, going through reps, being able to talk to people, making sure that they understand what you're saying, but not being too alarmist. Don't be saying stuff like, "Man, this house is about to fall apart" in front. You just don't say that, right? Because that'll spook somebody, because they're looking at you as an expert, right? So if you say that, they're gonna be like, "Man, this house is trash. I need to move on," and it may not be that big of a deal. So you got to watch your word. See another don't. So, industry standards, don't take too long with the report, getting it back to the agent. That will get
What's
you
the what's
not
a good
called back.
what's a good turnaround time for the report?
24 hours or less. Yeah. I mean, now
24 hours less. Okay.
Technology, most people running apps off their phone. So, even if you're busy, say you got 2 a day, you should be able to get both of them, back to the agent and back to the buyer within 24 hours. Of course, some houses are a little different. If it's a big house, but it's got a lot of different components, or it's a very old house and there's a lot wrong with it, it may take you a little longer, but you explain that to them going in. You're like, "Hey, I'll try to get it to you tomorrow, but it's a lot going on with this one, so just be patient, but I'll have it to you." You try to meet your deadlines. Always try, if anybody's interested in becoming a home inspector, you'll be surprised how much business you pick up just by picking up the phone or returning a text. Because when they call and they're looking for somebody, so if you pick up and you answer and give them the questions, answer their questions, and they book you for the inspection, you do a good job. Now you may have just picked up another realtor, right? And so always answer the phone, always answer text when possible, or just say, "Hey, I can't talk, let me get back to you." But remember that 75% of the job is customer service. And so how you treat your customers, the agents and the buyers, reflect on how busy you are. Because everybody can inspect a house, right? It's not like all these houses are different, but it's how you interact with the clients that really makes a difference, I think.
Okay. All right. So what would you tell someone who wants to get into it, become a home inspector? So a lot of people are debating if they should go to college or should they get certification in the field like yourself. What do you recommend if they want to get a home inspection?
So if you want to get in the home inspection, I would say first find you a good course. You don't need to go to college. You don't even need construction experience. And it may be added to you. I know some people say, "Well, you don't have a construction experience, how you going to tell me about a house?" But the job of a home inspector is to make observations and report, right? And once you have that foundation of knowledge from the course, then any house you walk into, you can give them a report based on what you see. Of course, as you go, you learn more. But yeah, I would say take the course first. As you're taking the course, use your own home or wherever you stay in, or a parent or family member's home, to kind of go over the components that you're studying, right? So the material is vast. It's a lot of material. And you can break it down by the roof. So you get the roof section, you can either go in your attic or you can get on the roof, and you can kind of read over and then go through the course on that section, and then read, and then go up on your roof and kind of familiarize with yourself with the components of the roof, like shingles, flashing, penetrations. Then you go in your attic, rafters, roof decking, collar tie, rafter ties, all that stuff. So it'll make sense to you when you're reading it and not just words on a page. And so that's what I did. Each component, I stopped, studied it, came back, and then I read it over again. So it stuck and I understood what I was seeing. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, G.
I got you. I'm muted my own self. I was saying, I said it was good information. So I lost my train of thought. What about that? So yeah, so let's talk about what type of software technology that you utilize to help you become to better do your job as a home inspector. Because I know technology is great helping in y'all field, especially. So
yeah,
what type of software y'all use, what type of hardware y'all use, stuff like that.
So to actually do a home inspection job, just to kind of back up a little bit, you only really need a flashlight and a screwdriver.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not even required to get on the roof, so you don't even need a ladder. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the bare minimum. Now, of course, we're in 2023, so having a good software that allows you to create templates and save them so that you can pull that template up when you're on inspection cuts down the time dramatically. So most people do it that way. Like they'll have a software loaded up on their phone. I know I use Spectora. It's pretty popular. There are some other ones out there, and they're all kind of similar, right? You create a template, it's broken down by component, it allows you to take pictures and enter comments. And so when you have your template saved, you already have those comments saved. So the big thing is having a real flexible and reliable software, because 90% of the report is done on your phone. And for me, 90% is done before I leave the property. Like once I'm done, I bring it home, I read over it, proofread it, make sure everything is good, and I send it out the next morning. But the phone is the big thing right now. Of course, there's other technology available like infrared cameras, drones, stuff like that kind of make the job, I'll say easier, but allows you to dig a little deeper into the inspection, even though they're not necessary to do a good inspection. And when I say dig a little deeper, like this is a visual examination only. Like we don't open up walls, we don't move stuff around in houses. Like it's only what we see on the exterior. So if you have an infrared camera, you may be able to see, if there's something's leaking. But I just warn people, like before you get into that, you need to understand what you're using. Don't just go buy one and start taking pictures and putting it in your report. Because if something happens, people have a record like, well, you said it was this, but it didn't. And they open a wall and there was no leak there. Now you're looking stupid. So make sure you understand what you're using, how to use it. And I would say if you're going to use a piece of equipment like an infrared camera, that you need to get qualified and certified on it, take a class. That way, if something happens, you at least have proof that you're certified to use this. Because if you don't, and something happens and somebody wants to sue you, they'll be like, oh, you're not even certified to use this piece of equipment. So be careful.
Okay. I like that.
But yeah, but of course there's different, we live in the age of software, right? And so the more aware you are of software, the better you can help your job. Everything doesn't work all the time. But like having good email marketing program, and that's built into my software, my inspection software. And so, having a separate phone number, just things like that kind of help ease the pain for one person, a one-man shop. Having a good payment processing company. That way, when you send people your invoice online, they can pay it. It goes straight to your checking account. And that's one less thing you got to worry about. Of course, I use a little bit of AI in my reports and marketing. I jumped on Chat GPT, like, oh yeah, this can help within reason, right? But you can do things, it can help you out, kind of make up marketing plans, email campaigns, things of that nature. Giving you strategy, analyzing numbers for your inspections, to kind of analyze your business and see where you're at. So, using those tools always help.
All right, that's what's up. Okay. Boy, using AI. That's what's up. A lot of people scared to use that for their business.
Man, I only have so much time, and once you use it and you understand what it is and what it does, you can really do well with it. Now, I wouldn't be in here like just telling it to do something and then not proofreading what it's giving back to you. You have to know what you're doing, and you don't rely on it to be the end all be all. You just rely on it as an associate, right? It's kind of like a helper. That's how I look at it.
Gotcha.
Okay. I use it as an assistant.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So you're in here, you're doing your thing, you got a bunch of home inspections. So if someone, let's just say I was a new person, someone is looking for a good home inspector, how would you know the difference between a good and a bad home inspector? I know you got to pay them for the work before, after they do the work, but like, how would you know how to find one that's good or bad?
So again, the biggest referral source is an agent, right? So hopefully you picked an agent that was good, and they're probably going to have 2 or 3 guys that they keep in their roster. And like here, they'll be like, hey, I use this company, this company, this company. You can call them, see what their price is, and you can kind of go from there. But that's going to be the best source. If you're going, you don't want to use your realtor's recommendation. If you're the business owner, you need to have a presence online. You need to have Google reviews, because the first thing people do is they're going to search and they see where you pop up at, and then they're going to look at your reviews. So if your tagline says, I've been in business 5 years, but you only got 10 Google reviews, somebody may be like, oh, I don't want to use this guy. But if you got 75, 80 reviews, they're going to look and be like, oh, 5 stars, this guy's great. People writing long length reviews about him. Let me give him a call. And so, again, choosing the software that allows you to request those reviews after inspection, all that's automated, really helps out. It helped me out a lot. I think I'm at like 75, 80 reviews. And so that's pretty good. I think I could do a little better, change some things up on how I ask for them. But you know, that type of stuff matters. So, you know, real estate agent first, online. I would say that would be about it, because you can, you know, of course, I'll take a referral from somebody I did an inspection for. You know, their brother is getting ready to buy a house, and you're like, well, we use Chad, you know, so that's great. But, you know, still do your due diligence, find out about that person, go to their website. You can find a sample report or two. Some guys put sample reports on their website. I know I do. So you kind of see the report before you call them. And then, of course, you know, price matters, but don't be shopping for the cheapest guy, right? Because you get what you pay for. You want somebody who's pricing themselves to offer you a service. They feel like they're offering you a great service, so this price as well is like that. You go with the cheapest guy, they may just do it, be in there for an hour, bum, 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 bum. Here's your inspection, moving on to the next one. You kind of get what you pay for. And that may be what you want, but don't be upset when you get, you know, when you move in and then, oh, he ain't tell me about this. And I'm like, well, you know, he wasn't.
Exactly. All right. So, what's the? I don't know if you can answer this or not, but what's the worst property you had to do a home inspection on?
Ooh.
And how was that?
So there was a property. Oh man, it was somewhere in the east. But on the outside, the house looked fine, right? But when I got in the house, it was just a nightmare. Termite damage everywhere. And so when you walk in the house and you get that, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be here all day. But yeah, this one was like that. You know, they had rodents run around, the house smelled bad, no AC.
Okay.
You know, when you were doing that, and you can't let that stop you from doing what you need to do. But yeah, it sucks. Now I've been in some weird houses. You know, we in New Orleans, so you never know what you're gonna get. I've been in attics where they have altars, where somebody's been in the attic and got like pictures on the wall and baby dolls on the rugs, like weird, like voodoo type setup. I'm like, man,
Voodoo stuff.
Yeah. So you never know. People are, man, you'll be surprised. And so, you know, one thing I was telling my wife one time, I was like, man, people are strange. Because you sometimes when you go in people's houses, like you look like, what are y'all doing? Like what? You know, you don't say anything, obviously, but you're like, man, people are really, the stuff they have in their house and just the way stuff be laying around, like people don't, I don't know, it's always something different, man. Some things you'll be like, why did you leave this out? You knew an inspector was coming and you left this out? What's going on? Yeah, sometimes I'm like, shake my head and try not to catch it in the picture. Like, let me just move the camera over here.
Okay.
But, you know, it take a lot to rattle me. And so, you know, I think most of that stuff kind of blows by me. But sometimes, so I did an inspection. This was another house in the east, right? And from the outside, the house looked Like, okay, it looked like, some maintenance needed to be done, but it didn't look bad. And it was on, a fairly decent part of the town. So I was like, can't be that bad. So I went to the house and I knocked on the door and the dude came out and I looked at him. I was like, man, I don't feel safe coming in here. Like he just looked weird. He looked like
wow.
He looked like a serial killer. Like I don't even
No
joke.
Oh, a serial killer. Okay.
Man, he just looked like a strange guy, man. He came outside. He didn't have no shoes on in his house. He had shoes. Like the house was just a mess. And so I'm like, oh, man, I gotta get out of here because I don't like this. It was stuff hoarded, and then some rooms were perfectly impeccable and empty. And then some rooms were just junky with stuff everywhere and newspapers. And then you go in another room and it's just empty. Bed made, clean. And I'm like, man, I'm opening the closets and I'm just like opening it, moving, like I don't know what's gonna fall out of this closet. He's following me around the house. And I'm like, man, no, I gotta get out of here. So that was the spookiest. Right, yeah. Because he was like, I went in the attic. I was like, you don't have to come up here. They're like, oh, I'm coming up, no shoes on. I'm like, oh man. There were side rooms. Like you went through the attic and had a side room that had a whole bunch of newspapers piled up. I'll show you the pictures one day, but I was just like, man. I'm opening this closet and somebody gonna fall out of here and we're gonna hit me upside the head or something. So yeah.
Okay. All right. That's crazy.
So yeah, be prepared. Use common sense because it's another thing, you got to be mindful of. Like you moving around, you're in people's houses, so you have to be real courteous, but you also have to keep in mind, like, you need to make sure that you're being safe and that you're in a good situation because anything can happen at any time.
Have you ever turned down an inspection? Like, nah, I'm not going in because the person is too crazy.
Not turned down. Just kind of like kind of just be cautious, be on your P's and Q's. Unless I just see something that just don't make no sense around, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I always joke, I'm like, man, I think I look like the police. Walking around, got this uniform on, taking pictures, and they don't know what I'm doing. So somebody might get a little suspicious, but I don't ever turn them down.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So, been in business for a while. So, what's the future of your organization? Where you want to take it to the next level? What's your plans for that?
So, I'm kind of on the fence about seeing whether or not I want to add somebody. Right now, I kind of like doing this on my own, but I would like to branch out in different sectors of real estate. So when I do that, I would look to add somebody. But the good thing about home inspections is that you get that foundational knowledge of homes and how they work, and you can branch off into different things. Like right now, I'm getting started with the Fortified program as an evaluator. And so one of the things that they require is that you be a home inspector. So a lot of times you'll find opportunities in things that relate to home inspections and you take advantage of those. And so just because you do home inspection doesn't mean you can't do these other things. And so that's kind of how I look at it. Like I want to make sure that I can get income in from something other than home inspections. And so sometimes that may just be roof inspections.
What's the name of the program again?
Fortified home, fortified roof. Basically, the state's going to be opening a program up where they let people come in. Well, not let people come in. Basically, you can get a grant to fortify or to make your roof more resilient. And basically, the program is to attract more insurance carriers because, we having a problem here. Well, not you anymore because, you stay Marietta or something like that. But
hey, wait a minute. Don't worry about that.
But no, here you can edit that out. But here, we're still struggling with insurance. So the state wants to open that up, and they feel like opening this program, getting people involved in the program, that it'll attract more carriers, right? So the whole deal is to make the roof stronger to hurricane force winds and kind of use materials to kind of weatherproof the roof to make sure it doesn't leak. So that's something that I'm just starting. I just started that last month. I got 2 jobs right now, but the program opens on the 2nd. So once the program opens, there should be more people looking to get their roof evaluated. You can look at it and be like, man, maybe I want to go get my contractor license, right? Because I understand everything about this. I feel like I can manage a job with the knowledge I have. You can look and be like, well, maybe I should go into appraisals because they all kind of lend into each other. Of course, that's different certifications, different classes, but you have that option now. You can look and see where the need is. I even briefly thought about getting a real estate license just for my own benefit, right? I can do my own thing as a home inspector, but then, have the real estate license on the side. So once you get in and you see how things work, you can kind of see what opportunities are. You just want to keep yourself well-rounded. And that's how you do it. You don't stay in one area. You don't branch completely off from what you're doing, but there's always different avenues or different branches you can take. And you never know, you might like doing that more, but I think home inspections is a good start. And then you can always, make money doing it.
Okay. That's what's up. All right. So we got a couple more questions before I let you go. So you've been doing home inspections. You want to branch out and do other things. Have you ever had any issues running into inspections? Somebody be like, yo, I want you to do my house because of the color of your skin or something like that. Any issues, anything like that?
I think maybe, but I don't. Mm-hmm. So I'm just being honest with you. I'm in New Orleans, so 6% of the population is Black. So I deal with a lot of people that look like me. Right. So it's, but there are people who probably would not, or they don't know until you get there. That's happened a couple times. Where they be like, it's Chad, Chad Dabney, you don't know who he is, that name. So,
right.
So, I show up, be like, oh, yeah, I'm Chad, right? But it's kind of hard to do that now. I have my picture on my stuff, but they might not read it, but my picture's always been on my stuff. Never tried to hide who I am, but some people just might not know, and I'm sure. Just like with everything, somebody may run across me and be like, oh, you got somebody else?
Guys.
That's fine.
Okay. Right. All right, bro. Appreciate your time, being on the show and everything like that. What organizations are you a part of? Let people know what you
in. So I am a proud member of Zulu Associated Pleasure Club.
Yeah, Zulu.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Real estate organizations. I'm a part of the REBA, that's the New Orleans Real Estate Brokers Association. Let's see what else. I am a veteran, so I'm in a different veteran organization. And so I think that's about it. Let me see, maybe I'm missing something here. There's like a national organization for home inspectors, and I'm a member of that, but it's just kind of like you pay your dues and you get weekly bulletins and access to classes. So I don't really interact with those people that much, but it's an organization that I'm in. But, you can't join everything because you don't have time to attend all the meetings. I'm also in a BNI group. And so that I really like my BNI group. At first I was on the fence about doing it, but
what's
I like
that?
It. And so
what's that?
So business networking, basically they get people in and they structure everything about, passing on referrals to each person in a group. So there's one person that does maybe accounting, or a person that does loan. There's an agent, there's an architect, an IT person, insurance person. And so we all kind of use each other's contacts to refer business to help each other build their businesses. And so if you get in the right group, it's very beneficial. Some people don't like it because they say it's too structured, but I feel like it helps people be accountable. And so I really like that group as well. I like that networking group. But I would just say, you start out, you don't need to be a part of everything, right? Of course, you need to make sure that you're networking and visiting people, but you also have to have boundaries along with that. You can't say yes to everything. Um, you know, a lot of times they see a new guy and they be like, oh, he's eager. So they just kind of be like, you want to sponsor this for me? And you kind of like, yeah, maybe, but you got to be careful with that because although you need to get your name out there, they may just be trying to fill a spot. And so you need to kind of fill them out and make sure that you're not overextending yourself, trying to get your name out. You know, do what you can, but don't do everything.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. One more question. You have to, for your own home inspection certification license, you have to like do continue education every other year or something like that. You got to maintain it.
Yeah, so we have to have 20. So your first year, you need 30 hours of continued education, and half of that, well, the majority of that has to be in person. So after your first year, you get 20 hours, and you have to have most of that in person. So, you know, you find classes to go to, and it helps you, right? Because if you just try to go off of what you learned during the course training, there gonna be some deficits in your report. So you want to make sure you go to as many CEUs or continuing education classes that you can, so you can build that knowledge base. Just make sure you're picking the right class. You know, it's always the internet. You can get as many online hours as you want, but the ones that count, the bulk of those come from in person. So you got to make sure that you continue and maintaining your CE.
All right, man. All right, cool. I appreciate all the information. Let the people know where they can reach it if they want a home inspection or get more about the home inspecting game. Let people know where to reach at. I'll post it
so
on the website as well.
You can reach me at Total Home NOLA. There's a contact link. Put your information in. I'll get an email and I'll answer your question, or you can text me or call me at 504-645-8222. Like I said, I try to answer all calls and texts, so that's the best way to reach me.
Cool. And that's where anything else you want to say before you go?
Hey, if you're considering going out on your own or you're looking to start an endeavor, always look, don't skip over home inspections or anything in the real estate industry. Like I said, it's a good springboard to other opportunities. If you're hardworking and ambitious, you can make it work for you. Just make sure that you prepare for the ups and downs as a solo business owner, and get in there and get it done.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on the show again for the second time. Appreciate it. Episode 39, Chad Dabney, owner of Total Home Inspections. Make sure you check out at TotalHomeNola.com. Remember to share, like, and follow us on all our platforms, on all podcast platforms. You can listen to everything we do on lagniappelegends.com. Check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything else in the world. So enjoy the rest of your night. Peace. We out. Thanks for being on the show, bro.
Yep.
Peace, y'all.